It makes no sense to create something without observing it. Anastasia Novik, Allatra. Science confirms that our world is a hologram. The world is artificially created. The question arises, who created it? And most importantly, why? On Earth, there are many cosmogonic myths and religious legends about the origin of this universe and why it was created. Its essence lies in the fact that the great God decided to create another world different from his own and showed his desire. It is also said that God created a human. He created a human in his own likeness, but not in the image, since God himself has no image. In religious texts, we find references to the fact that God created a human twice. In the beginning, God created a human as an incorporeal being. The being consisted of the divine principle, that is, the soul. It did not know the bad, it only knew good, because God's love was in it. Naturally, the being possessed great abilities, and there were no obstacles for him. Not knowing the bad, it was doomed to paradise. In fact, he had no choice. In this form, the being slowly developed, and the transition from the material world to the world of God was very long. And we all know perfectly well that there is no growth without resistance, and it is very difficult to force yourself to develop in order to go from good to better. Therefore, people asked God to complicate the conditions for them so that they would develop faster and return home. God created a human body and consciousness, devil, tempter, as a coarser, material form, thereby creating the conditions for choice. Thus human became dual in nature, combining good and evil, angel and demon. God gave human freedom of choice and the power of attention. Since that time, a person could choose within himself what to invest his attention in, feelings emanating from the soul or negative thoughts and desires from the consciousness. That is, to increase the power of love for God in oneself and consciously become a mature spiritual being, or pay attention to one's animal component, developing as an intelligent animal, become dead and end up in hell, becoming a weak-willed subpersonality locked in the body. When the physical body dies, the human being continues to exist, but he no longer has the right to choose and access to vital energy and the opportunity to change anything in his life. After all, a person has the opportunity to choose as long as his body is alive. The right to choose lies in the fact that the person himself decides what to pay attention to within himself, God or the devil. Communicate with God with the help of a feeling of love, becoming a part of it, or talking with the demons in the head, obeying them, becoming a part of the devil. After all, with whom you communicate the most, that you become. As there is a spiritual world that unites all angels, so an illusory antipode was created, the material world with an animal mind system, devil, that controls all demons. The spiritual world is the unity of all angels, equal among equals, united in love for God and each other. The world of demons is a world of strict hierarchy and subordination, a struggle for power and domination. A world where a stronger demon controls a weaker one. The animal mind system receives energy for life when we give the power of our attention to it, paying attention to the negative thoughts, pictures and desires that it imposes through consciousness on us. This is an automatic system for isolating pure souls from the material world, those for whom God is more valuable and above all matter and its temptations. The system constantly attacks a human with negative or seductive thoughts, testing for spiritual stamina. Will a human be distracted from his spiritual nature, get out of the state of love for God, and support the life of the system with his attention? Or he won't pay any attention to these provocations, remaining faithful to God. That is why the devil, the system of the animal mind, is so actively trying to destroy the knowledge about the true essence of a human's stay in this world through the consciousness of people, to distort them so that people do not know how to develop spiritually and become free from death, return to their real home, the world of God. In Indian mythology, the cosmic game of God, through which he creates the world, creates an illusion in it as reality, like a performance or dance, is called Lila. Sanskrit Lila, game. Lila is an illusory appearance, likeness, pretense. The whole world, all its images and phenomena, the entire mirage universe is the actions of this fleeting game, rapidly changing forms. This fleeting performance captures the attention of a human, but it is nothing more than an illusion that is inspired by ignorance. The true reality is hidden in the human himself, but to see it is given only to those who are able to see and perceive the true reality, the spiritual world, behind the playful overflows of illusion, Maya, which hides its true essence behind the visible diversity of the temporary world of matter. Yes, it's a game, but a game with serious consequences for everyone who plays it, regardless whether he knows what is in it or not. Agree, being in the game, I would like to know its rules to understand what needs to be done to win. Such rules were precisely the knowledge that the prophets passed on to people. After all, ignorance of the law is no excuse. The essence of this game is to wake up from a dream, to get rid of the illusion, to become a being of a higher order. And in order to know how to get out of the illusion, not get lost and not die in the desert of mirages, people were initially given the knowledge and tools on how to do this, but people, under the dictation of their consciousness, gradually lost them and remade them to please their ego. They hid and distorted the knowledge, thinking that they were strengthening their power in this world, although in fact they always strengthened the power of Satan. The prophets explained to people that in the world of matter, only Satan can have power. Satan's servants who seek power are deceived by him. They think they have power, but they really don't. Satan's power in this world is always built on the bones of his slaves, and he is not going to share his power with anyone. Since the animal mind system lives at the expense of people's attention, it is directly interested in the fact that the knowledge about spiritual development is distorted and replaced. After all, the more people become part of the system, become subpersonalities, the more energy it will receive, which means it will prolong its existence and power over its slaves. After all, the system cannot control a spiritually free human. It does not even see him. At critical moments for people, when the knowledge was forgotten and distorted, selfishness and the cult of the animal nature in human began to flourish in society. People everywhere engaged in magic. There were wars. Civilization approached its self-destruction, or the human community was threatened with destruction from global cataclysms. If there were those in society who aspired to God, then messengers from the spiritual world were sent to help people, as they would say now, crisis managers who renewed the lost knowledge. Messengers from the spiritual world could be angels born in the body, such as Jesus. Or, if there was a human in the world who aspired to God and really developed spiritually, he became a prophet, an example of the most worthy people, Zarathustra, Buddha, and Muhammad, to transfer knowledge. The spiritual world sent the Holy Spirit to them, voice of God, hearing of God, love of God. In Zoroastrianism, his name is Ahura Mazda. In Buddhism, Maitreya. In Christianity, Archangel Gabriel. In Islam, Archangel Jabrail. It was he who transmitted pure knowledge to people through the Prophet. And already how people acted with this knowledge. It was their choice. They used them to spiritually free themselves or create temporary benefits for themselves in this world, forming religions and deceiving people, serving the system, distorting knowledge. All this is on the conscience of people, and God has nothing to do with it. After all, the human's right of choice is sacred, and no one can violate it, even God. In this world, the possibilities of God and the devil are limited by the right of human's choice. Messengers from the spiritual world and prophets are like the best of the best, whom the spiritual world instructed to restore the truth and help people return home if people want it. What choice people make when they learn about the truth and how they deal with the messengers from the spiritual world and the prophets. You will learn from the kaleidoscope of facts, Life of the Worthiest.